He said I normally don't really date girls that I don't find attractive, so feel special. Well, goodbye. Today in B-Town Reddit stories. People who have walked out in the middle of a date, what happened? I walked out even before the date started because my date brought his friend with him. They arrived in a car and asked me to jump in. Reply: I remember that episode of Bang Bus. It was super short. I didn't walk out on a date, but my first date after 10 years following the split up of my marriage went as such. I arrived 10 minutes early to the bar and find a nice table. She arrives 10 minutes late. She walks to the table and looks at me. She starts to laugh. She walks back out. I go home and cry myself to sleep nursing a bottle of whiskey. Mine didn't even turn into a date. I bowled on a team once a week and chatted with a guy that came in the same nights with his family. We finally made a date, and as soon as I got in his car he asked me to marry him. He pulled a ring out of the glove compartment and said he was in the Navy and was scheduled to be relocated to Germany in 2 weeks. I was shocked and scared, told him he was nice and I would write to him, but it was just weird. I never heard from him again. On the 4th date she tells me the real reason she changed jobs. She used to be a prison guard and had cancer, so all the medical stuff forced a change of work. Now she works as a nurse. This is important. She tells me in a totally casual way that because of having cancer she felt like she needed to let go and be exciting, so she started dating 2 prisoners that were there. She used to smuggle them in cell phones and other stuff. Asked her how out of pure morbid curiosity, and she tells me women have natural pockets that fit lots of stuff. Then tells me she was caught because someone walked in on them having sex in his cell and the other inmate she was dating got jealous and turned them in. Said the reason she wasn't in jail was because the psychologist testified she was in an altered mental state because of the cancer. She went to the bathroom and I promptly ran like hell. She called me every day for 2 weeks before giving up. I ditched the date at the bar we were at after she told me she got mad at her ex over basically nothing and then proceeded to ruin his mint classic car. She also casually mentioned being arrested over something else related to aggressive behavior. I would have remembered what it was she did had I not checked out right then and there, faked going to the restroom, then promptly paid my tab and left. Why would you think that that's even a thing to tell someone on a first date? We met outside of one of my favorite restaurants. She was texting on her phone, shook my hand, and barely looked up. We get seated all the while still on her phone texting. So I asked her normal date things to only get yes and eventually a hold on a second after my 3rd attempt at striking up any sort of conversation. I asked if everything was okay. I figured after the hold on a second comment something bad might have happened. She responded by saying her friends are a priority. I was kind of taken back. Our waitress walks up right after that and she cuts her off as she is greeting us with a huffy finally. Then barks her drink order at her about as rudely as possible and goes right back to her phone. I asked for water, said excuse me and got up after about a minute of silence. I found the waitress, gave her a 20, and said I was leaving and apologized. Quickest date of my life. All in 10 to 15 minutes max. I've never met anyone close to that rude on a date in my life. I always tell myself I got all my bad dates in one. Here is to hoping that's true. Met at a cafe. Actually walked toward the wrong dude. Similar haircut, blurry photos, we realized what happened and laughed it off. Told the real dude about it when he showed up and he was not amused. Strike one, that's hilarious. Got coffee, sat in a nearby public park. He brags about his career in professional gambling, looks surprised I know some basic easy details. Insults his friends. Lets me know ahead of time he parked his car and has to move it. Fair enough, I offer to walk toward it and stand there while he moves around the block. Parking is tough here. Walks me a mile, passing many open parking places, to under an overpass. Still bright out, but this is weird. Car, the large windowless white van in which he reveals he is currently sleeping because his roommate has sexiled him semi-permanently. I don't buy it. It becomes clear he wants me to get in the van to help move it. At this point I let him know that I don't think I'm getting in there, but thanks. Quick hug goodbye, leave, he's incredulous. Doesn't push it, drives off. To his credit he texts later in the day apologizing for creeping me out. If you want to support our new channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. We would also love to read some feedback in the comments. Thank you very much. Guy from the gym asked me out for coffee. We hit it off and walked to the beach afterwards. We sit on a wall watching the ocean and he tells me he gives amazing foot rubs and insists on giving me one. Takes off my flip-flop and is really into my feet. Toes go into his mouth and I noped out. We were on our second date. He bought me 2 beers. A slow song was playing and he wanted to slow dance. As soon as we hit the floor he wanted to shove his tongue down my throat. I said I just wanted to dance and talk, get to know each other. His response? Well, I just bought you 2 beers. I walked off the dance floor, put cash on the table to cover my beer and walked out the door. Yuck. Reply? The whole, I bought you a drink, you owe me, thing needs to die. I don't do anything expensive for first dates. My go-to is walking around a public lily pad garden then playing mini golf around the corner. Sometimes, based on the interests in her profile, I'll do something different like going to a museum or the planetarium. I met this great girl and we really hit it off. Based on her profile, I thought she would love the South American exhibit at the local museum, so we went there for our first date. We got banana splits afterwards and I thought it was a pretty good date. I was looking forward to seeing her again. She had some work stuff and I had some work stuff, but after like 3 weeks we made it happen. We were going to see a movie and go eat at a little restaurant, but she was 30 minutes late, so we just went to go eat. She spent the first 10 minutes talking shit about the last guy she dated that took her to a stupid museum then out for a banana split. She bitched that her last date was too cheap to buy her dinner like a real man. She kept talking and talking and talking. I excused myself from the table, paid for my drink and half the appetizer, and left. Blocked her on the app and phone. Reply? How did she not realize it was you? Or was it some odd, passive-aggressive BS she was trying to throw at you? Answer: she spent most of the time staring at her phone and I had shaved my 10-day beard off due to an interview. I'm about 90% sure she didn't know it was me. Didn't even get as far as the date. I met a girl on the weekend at a table quiz in a pub. She was a friend of my cousin who I was there to fill out a team with. Myself and herself swapped numbers and got talking during the week, and I asked her on a date for coffee, scheduled for the Saturday. On the Friday she told me that if I loved her and wanted this relationship to work I should bring her on holidays and to hotels and stuff. I told her I wasn't going to be meeting her for coffee the following day and haven't seen her since. On our first date, Starbucks was super crowded, so we sat in his car and chatted. He asked if I wanted to watch a movie in the car. I said sure, but I wasn't really paying attention. We talked some more and suddenly I started hearing this moaning. Yeah, he put on Ponro. I was shocked and asked him what the hell he was thinking. He then whipped out his D and asked me to suck it. Nope, done. Called me 2 weeks later and asked why he hadn't heard back from me. Showed up drunk. Said I was her third date of the day. Was racist towards the Indian waiter. I didn't order a drink. Went out with a woman I met on a website. In the photos I didn't have glasses on because of the glare, but fully disclosed that I was blind as a bat. I was also clean shaven in the photos. Within 10 minutes of meeting she started in on how if I wanted to continue to see her I'd need to get contacts and shave off the 5 o'clock shadow. Girl bragged about purposely finding and trying to hit and kill cats with her car. Duck that. Faked going to the restroom and called a cab. Best part was that it was a double date. My buddy John went to the bathroom with me and bailed too. Also her psycho friend chimed in that she did the same shit. Also they both bragged about their pill addictions. Peaced out quick. She wanted to order some water to drink, and after asking me who would pay, which of course I was going to do, she switched her drink to something more expensive. I didn't think much of it at the time, but as she was being very rude for the rest of the date, I left and realized I should have left when she changed her order after realizing I would pay. Apparently he catfishes atheist and agnostic people on dating sites for the purpose of trying to convert them over a meal. I made it until the apps hit the table. Then I excused myself, asked the waiter to wrap up my dinner and leave it at the bar. I gave him enough to cover more than half the bill plus tip, then let my date know I was done leaving and waited at the bar for my dinner to go. He left shortly thereafter. Bartender and waiter comped my check after hearing the story. Reply: Wow, that's so insane, sorry you had to go through that. Anyway, while I've got you here, do you have a few minutes to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Thank you for listening to another B-Town Reddit Stories episode. Hit the subscribe button and check out our channel for more stories. Let us know your opinion about this topic in the comments.